we have to do some psychological assessments and they're getting to be more expensive, so I just increased, we haven't expended them yet, but I just added it to our projected rate, so that's why it went up 9,000, and I don't think those will be recurring, so it just stayed the same for the 2 out years. And as I said in our email exchange, I'd be happy after the meeting to go over your other 30 questions.
The percent of giving?
Hmm? 36%.
It's actually higher. Sort of 40 now.
The rolling.
Well,
Yeah, so we are, you know, that's an important line item, board. I mean, we're a little more than 50% through the year, and we haven't collected 50% of the budget, so there is now already focus being spent on collecting the rest, and we will, as we have done in the past, I'm sure we will do it, but it's gonna require some
yeah,
effort.
so we had some reminder phone calls
Right.
going out this week, and people are.
And you know, there are many parents who give more than what we're asking, and we really count on that. You know, we have an ask, and then we have an average it's budgeted, which is less than the ask. And we also count on some parents giving more because they know we need it, so.
We also have a parent event coming up, and sometimes people feel a little more inclined to give when they, you know, have been socially with the parents.
And I hadn't given yet, and I got my call reminder, so. Then just kind of go back on the special education number. There's some things that happen as a triennial assessment, Shelley, and this is a big year for triennial assessments for us. But, you know, last year we didn't have that many, and typically you need to have assessments as part of that, and we ended up having more than we anticipated this year. And the school psychologists are commanding a high rate these days, because if you call around to other local districts like I did, it said, if you find one, let me know. Because
They're looking too.
they're, you know, we called John Lenz at Marin Salta, it's like, yeah, call it, if you find one, let me know, because they're hard to find these days.
Great.
And the revenue, you asked about the revenue is fixed on a ADA basis, regardless of how many special ed kids we have.
And you don't get more you don't get more funding
So
if you
there's
have more special education students.
But there's sped revenue.
Well, there's $535 for
Every kid.
for ADA, for this year's ADA, and the federal government, I think it's 125, I think it went up to 135 for last year's CBEDS number. So those are fixed revenue amounts. And if we did have unusual expenses, the SELPA would help us with that, but none of these expenses are extraordinary. I can't remember what their language is.
Okay, so any more board discussion or questions? Okay, do I hear a motion for approval of our March budget revision?
Move to approve the March budget revision.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. One absent. All right, the next item on our agenda is our draft calendar.
Right, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll try and make this speedy.
Yes.
So we were waiting for the school district to come out with a calendar, because we would like to be in line with them as much as possible. For sanity for everybody in our community, with many families with kids in here and in multiple schools, and so kind of keep the holidays and days off the same. It's a good idea. The teachers have talked about potential of shifting any days or adding days to the calendar or taking days from the calendar, and Kirsten's going to summarize what the sentiment was.
Well, I guess last year they've been talking about of actually taking like a week off, getting out a week earlier, because we could do that. We have the number of days, the number of instructional minutes to do that. But I think some parents were a little like, whoa, wait, that sounds like a lot. So, we talked about trying to fit in all the end of the year stuff that needs to be done. Also knowing that at the end of the year, kids get a little antsy and it's not the most productive time, once the weather gets nice. And also the fact that we have teacher work days added on to the end of the, after the kids get out, we do a couple of extra days. So our thought was that if we let the kids out one day earlier before the district calendar, then we could fit the teacher days in within the same week. So instead of kids getting out on a Thursday and teachers going till the Monday, the kids would get out on a Wednesday and then the teachers would be done that Friday. So
And it wouldn't
that's,
cost us any more money.
and it wouldn't cost us any more money because we're already on that contract. So we thought that was a good idea. I don't think kids are gonna miss out on one day, a tremendous amount of,
And it's
Education.
really the scene here, that last week of school at White Hill is kind of chaos out there, just like, and so it's just, the less we're around that.
And when's the graduation ceremony?
ours or theirs.
Ours.
We did it on the last day of school last year, but I don't know what our plan is for this year.
Yeah,
It was a little
we-
hard because we were
we-
out on the playground,
We've
with eighth graders were shooting them.
we reserved the, I'm talking about the Stafford part.
Yeah, we reserved Stafford Lake for the Friday before.
Oh,
But this would be next year, when we're talking about it, not this.
On
Right.
this thing, you're showing that the 11th is the last day of school, but you're saying it's really the
So-
second.
Well, that's today. We proposed that we
Okay,
would go
okay,
one
okay, okay.
earlier day. Yeah. On this day, education.
We could do it this year too, you know.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, can we?
I think we
At
need
this
to
point,
give
do that?
families time to plan,
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know,
And I just,
feels like too close to spring it on for this year.
Yeah, but that's fine. We can do it this year. Keep it as it is this year. I think.
But are you gonna do the extra day of,
it would be,
Well, we'll come back on the Monday. Last year we had 2 extra days. This year we're talking about only doing 1 extra day.
and that extra day, we paid for on top of,
right, so you're planning on not, that's why I'm just asking a
plan-
budget,
not-
I'm
not-
asking a budget question.
it's not adding another teacher work day.
Okay, that's fine.
So
It's just
moving-
not in the budget, you know, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a small item.
Yeah.
So does removing a day, two questions, or two parts to this question, but for next year, does removing one day of instruction impact revenue?
No,
We can technically have, 175, 172 days, and we've got 180 at this point, so.
Okay, and that was the other part of my question, so removing this one day will put us at how many actual versus the minimum
We're
required?
above,
I mean, I know we're above, but I'm
we're-
just trying to
I-
understand how much, cause we,
Last time I looked it up, there was 2 different numbers quoted, and I had to talk to the state, and they weren't sure which one, but
the highest one is 175,
75.
so we're still got a grace.
So right now we're 5 over, that,
And the other thing is minutes, and we have enough
you
minutes.
know, we're,
Especially in
Over
our
minutes.
younger grades, we have like way more minutes than we're required to have.
okay, thanks.
Any more board discussion or comment on this item?
I think that's a good idea to cut it back and then give you guys 2.
So do you have the Word version of this document?
yes,
Can you
yes,
change it and send it to me?
yeah.
Or-
And did all of all the other staff development days are the same? Because I think last time we talked about saying that if you wanted to add some staff development days in, that it would be, that would be kind of the way to do it because it doesn't increase our budget. And so I'm wondering, was there any talk of that? You guys decided?
Yeah, that was a specific action
Yeah.
from,
Right.
that was supposed to happen between last board meeting and this board
Yeah.
meeting, was
Yeah.
the staff to review the calendar for development days.
And there wasn't a desire to change that
Okay.
from the staff to add.
Start a little
Well,
later in
we're all
January
for
or-
staff development,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you know, how do we make that happen? It costs money if we do it above what's.
Well, is if we
standard.
add, if we have a Monday off and then also take that Tuesday off too.
Right.
Like if we, like, we were talking about this morning, I was talking about how there's those 7 Mondays off.
Mhm.
So, you know, there are 7 Mondays off this next upcoming school year, which I'm pretty sure is more than this
It's a
year.
lot,
It's a
yeah.
lot of Mondays off in
Yeah.
the school year. And, you know, there was a thought like, what if we had, you know, Monday the 11th off, and then if we just took the 12th as a staff development day, it'd be 3 day school week.
Yeah, and you're either gonna inconvenience parents,
Yeah.
or you're gonna spend more money, those are realistic, or you have to do PD in a way that's integrated into the work week,
Yeah.
you know, the way it is.
And so we, you know, the 4-5 teachers, for example, every Tuesday and Thursday, from 9 o'clock to 10,
9 to 11,
9
well, unless you have yard duty.
from 9 to 11, they have staff development time
So it's like
and
common
prep time
Yeah.
every Tuesday and Thursday
Mhm.
to work together. The K1 teachers have Wednesday, all their specials are stacked so that they have time when they can work together. And for our 2nd and 3rd grade classes, it's kind of spread throughout the week, where they have time purposely set aside where they can work together through the week, and the teachers use it that way. I often go into Miss Katie's classroom on a Tuesday and Thursday, because I know I'm gonna find all 3, 4, 5 teachers there together, and I can ask them a question, we can talk about something, work through something. So we do have that integrated within the school day.
The other thing is having Shanice come from the new school. She's come mostly about once a month. I think maybe this month she's not coming, but mostly every month she comes, and we get subs so that we can have all of us have, you know, 2 hours together at a grade level. And that's been probably the most productive time we can have.
Right, and subs are not expensive, and there's a budget for subs, and we're actually under it, you know, so that works really well.
Good, I'll start taking days off.
Well,
Yeah.
I worked with somebody administrator who said subs are like a night out.
Yeah.
So budget, you know, it's
Yeah.
not more expensive than a night out, so. And that's been nice to actually work within the school day. They have a couple hours of working with each other and, you know,
And she's amazing.
Shanice, and then
Really.
they
great.
just, the funny thing, the great thing is, oftentimes, you know, I saw 2, 3 teachers doing it this last time, they were implementing right away
Mhm.
what they were talking about in that PD,
Mhm.
you know, 30 minutes earlier in that day. So I think,
Well, and I also wanna add, I was just thinking of something else, speaking of implementing things, you know, each of the teachers has taken a Wednesday throughout the school year to give a little presentation on something. And so, for example, I had gone to a PD back in October, I think, or September. It was all about word study, and you can see some of, you know, I presented to the teachers, 6 weeks ago?
yeah,
And everybody's using it. All of the 2nd through 5th grade teachers are totally using this. It's like breaking words apart with base words and prefixes and suffixes and all this. You know, so that saved us a whole lot of money instead of having someone come in or us all going somewhere, you know, it was one person's PD and then I shared it with everybody else. So I think we're pretty efficient.
Is that the PD you went to whenever,
Yeah, in October.
from that Canadian guy?
Yeah, exactly. And it would cost what, $100, $200 or something like that. But we're all using it, and not only that, we're all now seeking out other resources, we're sharing other things, and so, you know, we are a staff that does that, you know, we make efficient use of the information that we have.
So I think that to answer the question from the last board meeting is, the sentiment is we're happy with how we're using our time.
Yeah,
Just
but
gonna make the one change though.
Just,
right, I would say if we can, I don't know if it's in the budget to keep having Shanice come next year, but that's been incredible. She is amazing. And she came in last June and kinda got us jump-started with inquiry, and then,
There's
you know, having her come back
$15,000 of PD in the budget for next year.
for next year, okay, I
Yeah,
don't know what
so-
she costs, but it's
well, I
been
think if we can
really
have her
awesome.
come, I mean, it doesn't need to be as frequent, but I think we can still have her coming in.
Especially
No,
as we're getting into this whole inquiry, you know, like, what does this model look like, and how do we, you know, really do it well, she's amazing.
Right, and I have some ideas on, doing some PD around foundational skills, using a company my daughter works for, which could be done with very, very little money, but you guys have to buy into the approach. And I think that could be done along with Shernese for, you know, for probably $1,500 or $1,000 or that. And it works the same way, you know, it would be doing exactly what you just described. Kind of getting some stuff and then figuring out how to do it. And then a month later, having somebody kind of look at what you've done, you know. And I don't know if it really applies to 4 or 5 as much as, you know, foundational skills are really K-3 skills.
Phonics kind of stuff, if you want, like phonic reading foundation?
Yeah, but, you know, in the new world of the literacy wars, you know, the word is foundational skills. You know, and that includes 4 things, and I don't remember what they all are, but one of them is phonics.
Yeah.
One of them is phonic awareness.
I'm gonna keep us on track now. We're having great
Calendar.
conversation around professional development ideas, but yes, I'm gonna go out for public comment on the calendar. Yes.
I just tried to pull it up for Susie, and the document labeled calendar is the agenda on the Word docs. Just so you know,
Okay, that's the wrong link
Really?
there, huh?
but I just looked at it, I just tried to look
Okay.
at it, I didn't check all the links, but.
We talked to our web developer.
Do you actually want a copy?
You can have my copy, I have 2 copies, and
Okay.
2 other copies, Susie shared offering.
Oh, yes. that would-
So,
Okay.
yeah, whatever action the board takes, we'll get it updated and out to the parents ASAP.
Yeah. Okay. Any more comment? Okay, I'll bring it up for action. So the proposal is to remove the last student day and make that a teacher work day, moving the one that is currently shown, would normally be the next week.
Monday,
And this is for 2020
yes.
in June. Okay, do I hear a motion for approval?
What was the last thing you said about something moving to Monday?
Oh, well, this year, the teachers come back for a Monday at the end of the year, but next year it would just be the Thursday and the Friday of the week.
Okay.
That way
Wednesday,
we can
Thursday.
get off to parents.
Wednesday, Thursday. Do the students come on Wednesday? Oh, no, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The students only come Monday,
No,
Tuesday.
they finish Wednesday.
They finish Wednesday.
Like at noon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Last year, I think we did a full day on the last day, didn't we?
No.
We didn't?
we have half days the last week we had.
Oh, right, well, half days meaning 1:45, yeah.
All right. And yeah, I
I
think we
move
should
to
let
approve
parents.
the calendar with the changes as you noted.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, if we can put on the calendar like dismissal times on the short days, that would be helpful to families, I'm sure.
I was gonna quick comment, so cool that teachers can say, let's just take the last day, change that.
Here we are.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Well, obviously, everybody has to agree to it, but it's great.
All right, next item is our audit
So I
contract.
just wanna point out, you know, the state law is changed about
Yes.
1090,
Mhm.
P or whatever it is. And they wrote an exception to allow, a employee to be on the board for charter schools. But I'm really glad we did what we did, it's working really well, I think, and it's kept Chris engaged, and it's completely removed her liability, which still would be there.
Which is good, but it also makes it I can talk to everybody, which is
Right.
really nice.
Right, it's really, I don't know why we didn't think of it before, it's really a great
Yeah.
solution to the problem.
Alright,
Until they all
audit.
don't wanna do it.
And we still get another great one.
Audit.
Yeah. Great, okay, audit. Is there any questions or comments about the audit
No, it looks good.
contract? Same person we used for last
The
year.
tax price went up a little bit, but as John pointed out, it's really cheap.
And they did a great job last year, didn't
Well, they've had no findings, we don't,
Yeah.
we don't know.
they? Great for us.
Yeah,
Assume they
We
did a
did a
thorough
good
job.
job.
yeah.
Yeah, it just reflects all the hard work done with Con and our service provider.
Yeah, all the documentation.
Mainly our service
and-
provider.
Yeah.
No matter how many questions somebody asks of you.
I got mad this afternoon. Looked at your emails.
Yes, I saw it. Okay, any public comment on our audit contract? No, I'll bring it up for a motion for approval.
I move to approve the audit contract.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And she didn't take me up on my offer to meet with her.
Okay,
For her
next
30
item.
questions.
That was pretty fun.
Okay.
Okay, SAR, oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
school accountability report card.
Yes.
So, I, in January, uploaded our school accountability report card. It was basically just a statement of facts about our school. But it has to be board approved, so there's a copy of it in here for you. I don't know, it's stupid to ask for a picture of the principal. So that's in there.
I don't know, it makes our school
the
look
face
very
of the
welcoming.
school.
Face of the school.
Yes.
It should be a child, I'll do that next year, I'll put my kids on there.
Yeah.
But it's really, it's nothing that outside of language that comes from our petition or facts that are not true about us.
Okay, well, thank you for updating that in January, that's great. Okay, any questions or comments on this item? Any public comment on this item? Okay, do I hear a motion for approval of the SARC, so we can forward that on to our
I move to
authorized-
approve.
I,
Sorry?
can I just make
Oh.
a, just, it is just really interesting that, you know, on the math scores,
Uh-huh.
I think, yeah, this was the start, that, you know, the females did so much worse than the males.
Let's hope we see
It
some
surprises me
changes
based
in
on
that.
I really,
Saw last year, but
I mean,
Yeah.
cause it shows that, you know, it's like 72% of males met or exceeded, but only 58% of females. It's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised by that.
So
Thank you,
that's a-
Suzie.
That's a,
Let's see, hope that changes this.
that's a,
Mm-hmm.
that's, you know, you read about that all the time and you think, oh, we're not doing that. And so,
But also think
Well, I'm
last
surprised
year of
because-
how many students, it was their first year ever with
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah, so
now
it'll be
a lot of
interesting
the
to
students
see
who are gonna have
if-
their second year.
if that changes now.
But a
Yeah.
lot of my strongest math students last year were definitely girls, so I'm just really surprised, but
Yeah.
I was just
Well,
wondering.
and we had a big group, not big, we had a group of students who came from another school who, and a decent number of them were girls who didn't have math instruction.
So it'll be interesting to see. It was just really,
Who came in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Can we
and then-
incorporate like that data, it sounds like we're gonna have a fuller conversation on like how are we doing,
Mhm.
or the, and let's incorporate that, you know, Con suggested the
Yeah.
report
And
card
the
data, let's
females
incorporate
did better
like
on the English language
the
arts.
data that we have.
That doesn't surprise me.
When we do that dive as a staff,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, that'd be, yeah, it just, it was really noticeable, and I see that, you know, that really happens as they get older, but I was surprised to see it
Yeah.
even at this point, so just,
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, my look at it was, went from looking at individual scores, it was a decent number of those kids
there were reasons for it,
that were
okay?
had a different instruction before they got here, and they were here
Okay.
for a month or two, and then they took the test.
Okay.
Yeah, and even, you know, we had a new group come into fourth grade this year, same school, same, no background in math. And quite a few of them are girls, actually. So,
Huh,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if that accounts for the
Yeah.
difference,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
the other thing is there's just not that big of a sample size.
Yeah, you
So
take 3 kids and it
20%,
bumps the percentage.
Right, that
Yeah.
could be,
But yeah, it is something to look at,
so just to see if that's something that, you know, if it's just some anomaly,
yeah.
Mhm.
some weird thing, or if it's a,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It-
It'd also be interesting to, if we looked at those same kids and tracked them a year later to see if they had any individually,
Yeah.
kids had movement.
Yeah.
Because you can't
I
just say like,
I
oh,
just,
the fourth
yeah, I
graders.
mean, it's too early to say, okay, that's a trend, but
Mhm.
I hate to be sitting here 3 years from now and that's still the same thing,
Yeah.
and, you know,
Thank you for pointing that out.
yeah.
And the one thing this doesn't show us is where were they when they came, and where are they at the end
Right.
of their year with
Right.
us, and so we don't have that comparison.
We'll have better
yet.
data
Yeah.
next school year.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, do I hear a motion for approval of the school accountability report card?
Sorry, yeah.
I move approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. LCAP discussion?
So I intend to be quick with this one, because really this discussion is for preparing for our next board meeting, read over, take a look at the LCAP as it was amended last year. Because we're gonna be wanting to look to see if we want to make any changes to it this year. We made some changes last year. That went through a process of parents and board back and forth, and the intention is to do that again this year. So at our next leadership council meeting, I'm gonna bring it to the parents to talk about the LCAP and acquaint them with what's in it and what it's about, and start getting feedback and have it loop through to the end of the school year.
Would you include in your formal written inquiry process, so it gets documented, that the diversity committee gets a chance to talk about this?
Yes.
As well as the teachers?
Yeah.
I think those are the two other
And then,
groups that ought to be.
well, there's another group, so you know we had an ELAC meeting last week, an English Language Advisory Committee meeting.
Is that different than the diversity committee?
It's different than the diversity committee, because we have to have an ELAC now.
Do we have that many?
Yeah, we have more than, I think it's 21 kids.
Okay, so that needs to be in the list too.
Yeah, so that, I mean, we met last week, and I should have had that in my director's update, and it was a great meeting where we talked about reading, and we talked about the test scores, and just really getting these families engaged, and so, if you have questions about that, feel free to ask, but I don't wanna take up time when we're talking about something else, but I
Maybe
intend
make a
to,
note, include it next month.
yeah, I intend to engage all stakeholders.
And how often are they?
And it's important
It's
to
supposed to
doc,
be once a year, but I'm planning on doing it more often.
Yeah.
it's important to document.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll be documented, I'm gonna have an official, next board meeting, I'll present the calendar of some of it, which would all be passed of what's happening, and then I'll document the dates.
Okay,
Not that you have anything else.
Yeah,
No,
just a little busy.
okay. So you're gonna,
that's some great areas
so
of theory.
that's our homework, to review it and then be prepared for some discussion at the next
Yeah, and what
meeting, okay?
suggestions you think ought to be added?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd prefer to hear the suggestions from you before they come from me,
okay,
because I already have some suggestions, but
all right.
I want to try it.
Okay, any
So-
public comment on this item?
So by next time you want, we're gonna do a more in-depth discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a discussion item only, so I'm gonna keep
And
us
then-
moving along to the federal addendum. Is that gonna be pushed to the next meeting?
That's gonna be pushed to the next meeting.
Okay. Okay. Second reading and approval of the transgender policy. I think we got an
I just have
updated.
one on the number 8, where it goes with respect to all, there needs to be a space between restrooms and students, and there's not right now.
Okay,
Can you mark,
number 8.
I put a space in.
well, I'll make sure.
Okay.
Well, that's not the one that I sent out. I don't know what that is.
That was,
Oh, there
it
was
came
a-
out on, in an email. with
There was
you.
an updated one sent out.
Oh, is there
so
another
maybe
one?
you didn't
Okay.
see
Really?
it.
Did I?
Okay.
Is that the one I sent out? I sent out the wrong one.
Well, you can make sure that it's perfect.
They just switched it over. That was in the email, I think it was the one that had all the different attachments from you.
And when you edit and make corrections and approve corrections,
Yeah,
and
oh, it's hard to catch everything.
Yeah, I'll send you the right one. I mean, this is the right one, but there were the heading.
there's no real material change in here, there's just some added language.
Yeah.
Erica put some good language in there, and just
Added definition of.
cisgender.
Yeah.
And then
Word
swapped
narrative.
the order of, like at the top, the purpose.
Mhm.
The original purpose had the bottom one that's now labeled as 3 is 2. And the teachers felt that, you know, that we moved.
Switch the order.
Switch the
Right.
order.
Okay, but it doesn't substantially change
No substantial change.
anything from what we, it just further defines, it gives a little more detail.
And
But
for you,
from last meeting, we want, the teachers and staff were gonna review it, and that happened, and their comments have been incorporated.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
and then just as a side note, is, you know, part of this is, there's this thing that happened that kind of this, when it comes to kids and gender identity, that there's a bathroom issue, and there's also legal requirements around that. And, you know, in reality, any kid can use any bathroom that they feel most comfortable using, regardless of their identity. And so, I'm working, and teachers are working with Erica to go around from class to class and have discussions with the classes about gender identity, and also just how we carry ourselves as kids in a school with that in mind, and just have these safe conversations that are appropriate for different grade levels. It'll be, what happens in K1 is gonna be different than happens in 4, 5. And, I'm glad that's gonna be happening.
Yeah, it's a confusing, the bathroom issue is a confusing thing, and if everybody gets a common language and gets on the same page, it becomes much less problematic
And it's also,
for everybody.
it's also the one place where there aren't adults.
Yeah,
Well, and also just knowing that they can talk to the adults about it if they
Yeah.
have questions or are confused about it is really important, so to have had those pre-conversations before something comes up for them, hopefully, then they know that who they should go talk to or what they.
There was also a follow-up from a parent who was here at the last meeting when this was discussed. Did she send that to everybody?
Yeah,
Maybe?
yes.
Yeah, and I know I had a back and forth with her, and it was very positive, and she feels good about what's happening. She kind of walked out, and I thought, oh, I wonder if she was upset or something, and that was not the case at all. She was just really happy to hear that we're, you know,
For an adult.
yeah.
And she's just making sure that the board understood why to adopt her.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Well, I feel really good about having this policy in place and the fact that we have a plan for how we're gonna work with the kids and educate them and have conversations with them, so that's a great thing. Is there any public comment on this item?
I just wanna thank you guys for doing that policy. I raised money for some kids who are now older, they're transition age youth, who are LGBTQ and quite traumatized and isolated, and they've run into a lot of very tragic and sad circumstances at their schools from a very young age. And for you guys to be creating that safe place for kids is just
big deal.
a huge deal, huge. So thank you.
And reality, I wish it came from us, it came, you know, our parents.
I meant going room to room.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think that's
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that you're going room to room, talking to the kids and letting them know that this is a safe place is really important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion